Hello everyone, welcome to My Lifestyle. So today we will be discussing how to determine our wedding budget or how to create a wedding budget. So first I want you to keep in mind that half of the couples tend to go over the budgeted amount anyway. So it's better to have some type of plan in place because more than likely you're going to go over. Although you're going to go over that plan, sometimes it's better to at least have some type of idea of how much you actually want to spend so you can do your best to try to not go too far over or put in too much money and then you're in debt afterwards, because that is no way to start a marriage off with a lot of debt. We want to make sure that we're being wise about our spending, and just know that we want you to have everything that you want for your wedding, but you still have to live after the wedding is over. So that's some things just to keep in mind. So when you think about your budget, you're actually just paying for your guests to be entertained. Like, you're paying all this money that you're spending is not really for you. It's really for your guests, like the people that you have invited to the wedding. So the first thing you need to do is to decide the number of guests that you want to have at the wedding. Do you want to have 50? Do you want to have 100, 200? Because you're going to be spending to satisfy them pretty much, or to just entertain them. So that's something to keep in mind. How much are you willing to pay for them? I mean, I've done a wedding where it was like $25 a plate. And so it's kind of like, do you want to spend $25 a person, for people, for children to come to your wedding? So that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're planning your wedding. You want to decide how important those people are. They have to be very important, right, for you to invite them to their wedding and spend that much money on them. So create a list of who you want to attend and then go from there based on how much you want to actually spend. So you kind of create like a wish list pretty much of who you want to attend, how much you want to spend on them, and some things that you need or want for your wedding. So that will kind of give you, in a nutshell, an idea of how much to actually spend on your wedding. Track your spending. Everything that you spend, you want to write it down. Create a spreadsheet of things that you need or you want on your list. And then as you purchase those things, write how much it costs you, and subtract it from your overall budget. So this will give you a better idea of how much money you're actually spending, and you can kind of have realistic expectations, that you may be able to stick to the budget, or you may have to cut some costs somewhere else in order to save money. And then adjust your estimates. Like, sometimes we may budget $500 for a cake. Well, the cake probably is not going to cost $500. It's probably going to cost even more, on top of there being a delivery fee, on top of there being like a additional fee for extra topping or a cake topping or whatever the case may be. So those are some things that you probably want to make sure that you're being realistic about. And then you also want to adjust those estimates after you contact vendors and to see how much these are. The good thing is you can always hire an event designer, a wedding planner, which is like myself, to be able to come in and negotiate prices with you. Sometimes we have teams, like I have a team of people that I work with where I'm able to get good deals, because I have working relationships with them, so I kind of have an estimate of how much it should cost me. And then if they can't provide a certain service, then maybe I go out. At least I have something to work with. Like, I know at least it should run me about this much money. Okay. Then also you want to create just your list of vendors that you want to work with. And then just see how much they cost for each service. I recommend that you probably try to get just some couple quotes from different companies. You don't always have to go with the first company that you find, just because sometimes you can try to get you can get better deals from other places sometimes. So just check around and see and read some reviews and see if they have any references that they can provide you with, that so that way you may be able to create a plan of action and then get some costs cut here. So before you sign on the dotted line with any vendor, make sure you have done your homework. Make sure you've read reviews. Make sure you've gotten references. Make sure you've gotten extra quotes from other individuals before you say, hey, I want this one, right? Then also, your vendors for transportation. You know that anytime you have anything delivered, there's always going to be associated costs for delivery. So you want to put those costs in. Also, something to keep in mind is if you're bringing someone in from out of town, especially like a band or just it could be a caterer or anything. If you're bringing these people in, more than likely there's going to be an additional cost for that travel. Okay, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Also, plan for surprises. Sometimes we think we have it all mapped out, and then there's a surprise that comes up and it's going to cause us to go over on our budget as well. If you're going to have a bar, if you're going to have custom cocktails, there's additional fee for that. Even if you have to have just something simple, so we probably recommend that you stick to the basics. Maybe just some champagne. Everybody can drink champagne. That will kind of help save you some money there. And then digital access. So some photographers are going to charge you a minimum of about $1,200 to view and share your photos online. So that means that they give you the rights to the photos, so you can do anything that you want to do with them once they're done. But that way it doesn't cut them out of making any additional money, because you have had to pay for that particular service. So also, if you have carving stations, those things are going to cost extra money. Sometimes they charge, per person, additional charge, maybe like $7 or so per person. It just kind of depends on what they're going to be carving. And then if you have a full service event planner, typically, you can spend anywhere from about $5,000 to $25,000 on the middle, range. But on the higher end, it can go even higher than that. So it just kind of depends. You want to try to get with a designer and go over your plan, see how much everything costs before you sign your initial contract and do your deposits and things of that nature. Also, you want to, if you're going to use a credit card, like let's say we're going to plan our wedding and we're going to put everything on a credit card, just charge wisely. Just don't put things on there just to put them on there. Because there's interest on those credit cards, so those things are going to add up, and then at the end when you have to pay this bill, you're paying additional money that you probably wouldn't have necessarily have to spend had you created a plan, maybe saved up for, put some cash back for things that you want, that you want, for your wedding. So those are some things to probably keep in mind. Also, you can use, like, if you have rewards points from different places that you've gone, maybe you can use that money from rewards. Like, so for example, let's say if you are able to bring you were at a venue where you're allowed to bring your own alcohol, but sometimes you have memberships with other places where you can go in and you can get discounts on the liquor or things of that nature, and you'll be able to bring that in. So you could probably buy champagne from a off the top champagne or something like that and bring it in, and maybe you'll be able to save some money there, if just in case you wanted to have some type of bar as opposed to serving like hard liquor and things of that nature. Try your best not to go over budget. If you go over budget, you might have to slash some of your spending, cut costs, like wherever you can save an additional $1, just cut the cost. Okay, it's not going to hurt you to cut the cost, but it will eventually hurt you if you have to keep adding things to your budget and even charging on a credit card. And then let's say, like, if your venue costs too much, then maybe you probably have to go with a lower venue. And just keep in mind that sometimes you end up spending more money trying to make a venue look the way you want it to look, if it was not, if it doesn't appeal to you, as opposed to getting a venue that already has full service and it has the things that you want in there. But you just kind of have to run the numbers to see. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Edit your guest list, cut your guests down. If you're way over budget, some people just can't come. That's just the bottom line. You may want to cut costs there, and that will really save you the most money, really cutting your guest list. I know sometimes it's difficult to cut the guest list down because you want to invite so many people, but at times if your budget is over, you can probably just cut the cost a little bit. Try to go off peak season. If you're having a wedding in the winter, typically you will get a much better deal than you will in the summer. Everybody wants to get married in the summer and in the fall. So typically those are our peak seasons, and in the spring. So typically those are our peak seasons, and so the venues tend to be a little bit more, and when they get to the fall, they start to incline, and then once winter comes in, it kind of the prices kind of go down because they don't get very much service, because it's not very many people that want to get married during the winter time. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, the days of the week also play a factor. Do you want to get married on the weekend, a Sunday, a Monday, a Friday? Those things, sometimes those dates may have a cheaper rate as opposed to a Saturday or Saturday night. Everybody wants Saturday, right? So you typically are going to pay a little bit more for a Saturday than what you would for another day of the week. You want to build in time You want to make sure that if you have a venue, they need time to set up. Okay, so typically for a wedding, we want to have enough time to be able to set up the decorations and all of that stuff and make sure we can test everything out. So you probably want to factor in those things. So that's going to be added to your wedding budget. And then 57% of brides said that they are willing to prolong their engagement just so they can save money. So instead of saying we just got engaged in January, we're going to get married this spring, maybe we put it off for, you know, some more months and see if we could save extra money. And all that extra money that we're saving, we will actually put it toward the wedding. Maybe you could do a money challenge or something and then put that money back and be able to use that to be able to purchase the things that you actually want to have at your wedding, or all of the services and vendors that you want to use for your wedding. Or maybe you want to use it on a dress, a specific dress, or a certain type of cake, or a certain type of cocktail. You could do that. If you were going to plan to have a live band, then maybe we cancel the live band. We don't spend all that extra money paying for the band to be here, transportation, housing, food, and all of that. Maybe we don't use a live band. Maybe we get a really good DJ, and then we just go from there, because you can get some really, really good DJs that can have the crowd going and the dance floor, you know, music going for the dance floor. So those are some things just to kind of keep in mind. And you can address your own invitations. A lot of times you can create your own labels, you can create your own invitations, or you can find some bargain discount or bargain or discounted invitations that you can use to send out on your own, or any type of stationery. And then also, maybe you use fewer vendors, you don't have a carbon station, you can cut those things out. So that way you're not spending additional money on things like that. And try to do some other things. Maybe you could just do just like your buffet, your traditional buffet, and then you can have extra meats there for your guests. So there are a number of things to factor in when you're actually planning your wedding and how to create your budget. But the main thing I would do is to just create some type of list of all the things that I want in my wedding, the vendors that you plan to use, and then you think about how much each of those costs. Just write on your list how much you think they actually cost, and then you start going by and contacting these vendors and see how much they actually cost. And once you determine how much they actually cost, then that will give you a better idea of how much your budget is. Now, I have put another video on here that shows that goes in details on how much weddings traditionally cost. And so you can see some of the things that you may want to have at your wedding, such as cakes and your efficient, or things that you know you have to have as a part of the wedding. So it will give you a better idea or a better understanding of some other services or vendors that you may want to add to your list. So that way it kind of helps you with your list. But if nothing else, you can always Google things that you need at a possible wedding and then be able to just create a list based off of that. But you are able to identify yourself of things that you truly want to have at your wedding, because of course it's your wedding, and be able to create a list with that, and then write down the prices that you think how much it will cost, and then actually contact them to see how much it actually will cost you, and then determine your budget based on that. So hopefully these tips will help you save money. If you can, like and subscribe to my channel. I will have more videos about my lifestyle as well as weddings listed on here in the future.